warm welcome once again to all the students and all our panelists here today. This is season 3 of the Canadian Universities and Colleges Conclave and Virtual Education Fair. My name is Ganga Dandapani and I'm your host today. A quick introduction on who's Canam. We at Canam are pioneers in career counseling for students headed to Canada for the past 27 years. Canam has been very special to Canada and a leader in promoting Canadian education. We have a large network of offices in 30 plus locations across India and are members of major accrediting bodies throughout the international education sector worldwide. Our career counselors are highly experienced with decades of experience in recruitment processes, programs, admissions, and compliance. At Canam, we value a strong working relationship with our university partners, which is a huge benefit to our students. Anurag Sandhu, CEO of Canam, is an RCIC, that is Regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant, and thus licensed by the Government of Canada to provide guidance on study permits and immigration advice. We connect with over 2.5 lakh students and professionals each year to apply to university and college admissions around the world. And our free services include live interaction with delegates through webinars, visits, admissions workshops, and so on, in-person and virtual career counseling, admission services, visa guidance, getting application fee waivers where possible, providing scholarship options where possible, and interview preparation where it's needed. 97.2% of tens of thousands of students applying through Canam get accepted into their choice of programs in Canadian institutions each intake. And we would certainly like you to be one of our success stories as well. Now, how do we get it right at Canam? We have very high quality personalized counseling by very experienced counselors who are trained by university and trained by Anurag on various visa processes. Now, facilitating direct communication with universities and colleges through various events, activities, in-office events, virtual events, artificial intelligence-driven smart search technology for custom match of profile, eligibility, and field of interest developed over inputs from 10 million man-hours of counseling over 27 years. And perfected ISO-accredited application processing systems for over 27 years. So over to today's session. And this is the second session of the day. And the topic for this session is how to choose an agent to guide you with your Canadian career objectives and visas. So our panelists for today in alphabetical order: Ashley Dunlop, Director of Student Recruitment, Admissions and International Student Services from the University of Winnipeg. Ashley has worked both frontline and in strategic planning in the international education industry for more than a decade. She leads a team of 30 plus employees, overseeing every aspect of the international student experience from application to convocation. She is a regulated international student immigration advisor, RISIA, and international student welfare has always been her priority. Thank you for being with us today, Ashley. Our next panelist is Bruce Wilson. He's operations manager at Kingsway Academy and president at Bruce Wilson Consulting. Bruce is an accomplished professional in international education with more than 25 years of leadership experience in Canada. Also, for more than 5 years, he's acting operations manager at Kingsway Academy. He has created strategic recruitment teams in China, Korea, Vietnam, Africa, and South America that have effectively increased the enrollment of international students. He has excellent skills in building partnerships and relationships, proven ability to forge and maintain mutually beneficial working relationships with agents, global partners in education, academic leaders, and government. Great to have you with us, Bruce. Gitanjali Sharma, Associate Director, South Asia at Grok Global Services. Now, Gitanjali is Grok's Associate Director for South Asia based in New Delhi, India. She has an experience of nearly 20 years in the education industry in a variety of roles and has deep knowledge of the study abroad sector, particularly the South Asia region, having worked with many reputed universities and institutions. Great to have you with us, Gitanjali. Our next panelist is Karuna Osman, Recruitment Specialist, University of Waterloo. With 57 years of experience in international student recruitment and teaching, Karuna is enthusiastic about all aspects of international education. She has helped thousands of students pursue their education in Canada and is widely respected in our industry. She speaks 4 languages and is as comfortable speaking to a student as to a foreign dignitary or to a university president. She has traveled with the Prime Minister of Canada and various government officials on trade missions and is an international advocate for Canada as a study destination. Thank you for being here today, Karuna. And our next panelist is Ravin Sandhu, co-founder and director at Global Admissions. Ravin is the co-founder and director of Global Admissions. He started his bachelor's in commerce from SRCC New Delhi and then later transferred to McGill University, Canada, where he completed his degree with a specialization in finance and marketing. After working as corporate sales specialist, Ravin got heavily involved in the planning and development of new initiatives in the overseas education industry. Over the years, he's interacted with thousands of students, which helped him develop relevant technologies at Global Admissions. Great to have you with us, Ravin. And with that, we start our panel discussion. Please don't forget to type in your question and WhatsApp number and the city that you're located in to chat admin in the chat box. And if your question is absolutely unique and general, we'll pick it up for one of the panelists to answer. However, if your query is specific to your case or profile, an expert Canam counselor closest to your location will contact you in the next 2 working days. And thank you for joining in the session. And now over to the panelists. So, panelists, are you all ready? Okay. All right. So, figuring out what the right career path is like fitting the various parts of a puzzle to get the bigger picture. Now, it is essential not only to succeed, but also for fulfillment when it comes to work and settlement. But how do you choose? How do you zero in from the various available possible career paths for you? The workplace has changed dramatically, and it's important that you know the skills that are needed. Do you have the luxury of exploring and experimenting with your career? The need of the hour is to seek specialized and regulated guidance with decades of experience on how to navigate through multiple options with capability and confidence. Now watch the superb session with our experts who will give insights into the importance of identifying an agent pushing you into decisions which are only commercially viable to themselves versus one who's reputed for genuinely advising you about favorable options towards your career objectives. And do keep the questions coming in to chat admin along with your WhatsApp number. My first question goes out to Gitanjali. Gitanjali, in your long career in this industry, you've worked with a large number of consultants across the country promoting various destinations. What would your guidelines to parents, firstly, on advantages and disadvantages of using a career consultant? Secondly, there are different kinds of consultants, direct representatives, and the other sub-agents of an aggregator, which is the newest thing that's happening in the industry. Now, as a parent, how should one select the right consultant for a child's career?
Okay, thanks, Ganga. Thanks for having me here. And yeah, interesting questions. I do have a lot of experience working in this industry, but on the other side, I do also have the experience of having sent my own son to study abroad. So yeah, so I can thank you for that, Ganga, for all the guidance that you gave me, despite me being part of this industry for so long. So I'll start from there. As I see it, from my experience, having worked in the recruitment industry for so long, I've observed that students and parents find working with a good consultant results in a very good outcome for students and their family. This is what I think, that, right from advising on destinations, university and colleges, programs, career outcomes, and helping in the admission and visa process, which can be time consuming and very documentation driven. So that is where I think the consultant can really give help to the parents and the students there. And if there is someone, as a good consultant that students can trust to give them the right advice and guide the students through this process, then that helps the students make a very informed decision. because you're getting the right information at the right time, so you can evaluate everything and you make an informed decision because of it. Now, I would also like to say that students should also do their own research into institutions and programs that they shortlist. It's great that we have great consultants like you who can advise the students, but for them to do their own research is equally important. So I would advise them to do that as well. Now, this is going to be one of the most important decisions that they make in their lives, and that shouldn't be taken lightly. So I think that's very vital for them to do that. Yeah. So I think as an advantage, I only see advantages of you know having a good consultant there helping you with the whole process of choosing the right destination for yourself, choosing the right agent for the program for yourself, or the university or institution for yourself. I think that can be a great help when you've just started exploring those options for yourself or for your children, whoever you're looking for. And this kind of information today is at the tip of a fingers, right? Internet is there and you can find, but I definitely see the value of it, of your own research, as well as going to the consultants to get that kind of information in a very organized manner, where the consultant would sit down with you and talk to you, find out what your long-term career goals are, and maybe then would be able to give you the right advice that you're seeking. Because sometimes we don't know what we are looking for. It is only when we talk to people, then we find out, okay, yeah, let's explore this option or that option. Yeah, this might be really interesting. Oh, I hadn't thought about this at all. I didn't know that a program like this existed. So that is the reason why I think, having someone there who is going to help you with providing these kinds of information is something I think is a great advantage. And in as part of, I suppose, as how you go about selecting the right consultant for your, for your guidance, that again becomes very important because, uh, the whole, it affects the whole aspect of the whole study abroad experience you might have as a person. And if you're not making the right choice, and you could get misguided into a wrong institution, a wrong program, which might not lead to the career outcome that you were hoping for. It is a huge investment. It is not only a lot of money, but a part of your life that you put into the hands of uh, choosing for the right program and going for the right program and studying there for 4 years or 2 years, and this is going to make a huge impact on your future. So I think it's very, very important to understand that. And I think you mentioned, Ganga, that when you were saying that there are a lot of agencies there, and some of them are ones who work directly, and then there are some who are what is referred to as a sub-agent, a network in our industry, who might not be working directly with the institutions. And how do you go about selecting a consultancy or selecting a company which would be the best for your child, and which would give you the right advice for your child? I think I can only say that I can probably give you certain parameters to students, parents who are listening here, on how to choose the right consultant. But again, I would say that, most importantly is not thinking about somebody who lives next to your house or maybe recommended by your friend. I mean, yes, recommendations are very important, but the choice has to be based on other factors as well. So that is something that I think is very important. Yeah, I think I can go on and on about it. I can probably talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, if that answers your questions right now, and you want to maybe circle back to other people who might want to add into it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gitanjali. My next question is to Ravin. Robin, with your experience of first having been a student at the prestigious McGill University in Montreal, and then leading your own technology team at a traditional brick and mortar international education consultancy to founding your edtech recruitment platform across India, and now it is to be launched globally. What are your words of caution to students and to universities or colleges? What is edtech recruitment all about? And in today's back to in-person phenomenon, is hybrid the way forward?
Thank you very much, Ganga, for that question, and I'm really happy to be here. So what I'll do is I'll answer that question in two parts. I'll take the first one, which is that what are some words of caution to students out there? First of all, I think it's important for students to realize that education is not it's not a commodity, right? You're not just moving to Canada or a US or a UK simply to get enrolled in an institution. You're looking for a new life there. So there's a lot that comes with it, and I think that deciding what the right education for you is, picking the right institute, picking the right program, plays a huge role in what your life and career is ultimately going to pan out to be. So there is no way that students will be satisfied with the program that they're doing unless they are sure that that's the right match for them. And any agent out there who is unable to build that right match is going to be doing a lot of harm to the student in his life in general over the longer term. So I feel that if there's one thing that students should watch out for, it is that look for agents who have only direct representations with colleges and universities. The logic behind that is very simple. Any agent who works directly with a college or an institute is directly in communication with them. They are getting trained on a regular basis. Their staff is very well trained. They're updated on all the latest program changes, updated curriculums. They know what the visa guidelines are. They're in complete knowledge of what, let's say, the Canadian High Commission, the rules that they're putting forth. So I think that for a student to make the right decision, it's important that the agent has 100% a direct tie-up and not somebody who lacks that tie-up and also lacks that direct communication with a university or a college. I also think that failure to find the right agent could ultimately result in wasting a lot of time, money, of course, and then overall a wrong career path. And look, it's not that hard. I feel all students need to do is do a little bit of research and make sure that the agent you're working with is somebody who's accredited by bodies, is somebody who has a lot of tie-ups, and somebody who's in regular communication with colleges and universities in general. For institutes, I feel that I think institutes overall need to start screening agents perhaps a little more. Countries like I would not only say, yeah, I feel generally like a lot of countries in South Asia in general have a lot of agents that have cropped up over the last couple of years. And, a lot of these agents, they have different kinds of practices. They might not be the most ethical. They might not have the right work discipline. And onboarding a wrong agent could actually do a lot of harm, because I know that over time, universities have started focusing a lot on their retention rates. And any agent that is not communicating the right information to a particular student is not going to be placing the student in the right program, which is ultimately going to result in massive dropout rates, obviously, along with overall student dissatisfaction as well. The other thing is that universities should look at onboarding agents who work directly with students. So there's obviously, now these days we have two kinds of agents. We have agents who work with other agents, and then we have agents who work directly with students. Just the way that for a student, it's important to work with an agent who works directly with the university, I feel the same applies to a university as well, because an agent who works directly with the student, they're the only ones who truly know what the student wants. They're the only ones who are doing proper profile assessments, making sure that there's no fraudulent documentation, making sure that they fully understood a student's circumstances before they go ahead and place them in a university's program. So besides onboarding agents and, of course, making sure that the agents work directly, there is one more thing that I would like to say that university should watch out for. Any agent that is backed by a VC. Now, I know a lot of people have never, or most people have never raised this concern before, but typically agents that are funded by venture capitalists, they have a lot of pressure for volumes. I mean, I have been in communication with so many people. There's so many employees and counselors that I interview on a regular basis who have previously worked with agencies that were backed by VCs. And every single one of them will tell you that the only pressure on us has always been on applications. They want volumes, they want number of applications, they want to have students who are going to be punching in 5 or 6 applications per student. So I think that's where a lot of universities might be going wrong, is that bringing on board agencies that have this mental pressure constantly to give volumes to their investors. That is leading to poor conversion rates. It's overburdening every university's admission system. And even so, all the offer letters, see, we understand that every university has a specific quota of offer letters to give out. When you're giving out offer letters to agencies that are backed by VCs, obviously the conversion rates are pretty poor on that because they have the pressure on applications. The opportunity cost involved with that is not giving an offer to a student who would have actually enrolled. So I feel that these are overall generic, like generally these are the things that universities should watch out for. And coming, I think, to the second part of my question, which is that so what is EdTech recruitment all about, and what does it mean today for for back in person phenomena, and of course is hybrid the way forward? I think EdTech was kind of a frenzy term which really caught on at a time when before the pandemic, and I think pandemic was one time when everybody got forced to kind of do telephonic counseling, be it over emails and virtual calls, etc., etc. Typically, I would say that any agency that calls itself EdTech is just another agency out there who does not have the resources to establish a physical presence. That is what I feel EdTech means to the student recruitment industry per se. And maybe I should have added that this is another thing university should watch out for. Don't onboard agents who call themselves EdTechs. But anyways, that being said, I think that I don't think that EdTech solely can do much. The importance of physical presence is understated. There is when we have a student sitting across us, and that the physicality of it, be it the smallest things, the eye contact, it could be a handshake. These are things that build confidence, and these are things that help you understand a person, which cannot be replicated over a virtual call. So I feel that it is very important to be present where your students are. And that means that agencies need to work towards giving students an omni-channel experience. It has to be a very seamless blend of online and offline, with primary focus on offline, integrated with online, so that students have that convenience factor as well. So I think that's going to be the way moving forward, and hybrid is definitely the way to go.
Thank you. My next question is to Ashley. Ashley, students are baffled with the sudden spurt of sub-agents across India who may be on every street corner, which may seem attractive as a close-to-home option, like what Gitanjali said. Now, please comment on the increased use of agent aggregators. There are thousands of sub-agents who remain disconnected from the university, and the importance of students choosing an authorized agent who has a bona fide and trusted relationship with the institution. I think Ravin has also spoken a lot about that, but please.
Yeah, Ganga, and thank you, Ravin. That was a really fantastic overview, I think, of some of the main points here. I would like to just, I think, maybe step back a tiny bit first in answering this question, just so that the audience, looking at, we have well over 400 people here, and I'm assuming that some of you are families and parents who are very new to the international education exploration. This might be your first introduction to the first step of maybe studying in Canada or overseas. And so I'm here today as a longtime partner of Canam, and also, so I come directly from an institution in Canada. As Ganga introduced, I am the director of recruitment and admissions there. So my salary, my direct affiliation is with the university. So first is, I think, why would me being why do we work with agents? Why do institutions work with agents? And the answer is really, there's many reasons, but one is we can't be everywhere all at once. You know, the ideal scenario is that we would have thousands and thousands of direct employees that could be in every single, and you would always be talking directly to the institution at all times. But of course, we know that that is not feasible. And then so as a way of helping us spread accurate information, getting in touch with high quality, qualified, well-intentioned students, institutions will partner with organizations, agents like Canam, who then work very closely as our partners on the ground to provide information through us to students. The other advantage, a real advantage for us as an institution having local partners, is that we in turn get feedback from them on what is happening on the ground in India, what is happening on the ground in Vietnam, in Mexico, because they have the market intelligence, the connections with local regulations and what is happening to be able to help us shape our policies and work together to bring students there. So for most of the time, agents will have institutions will have an agent agreement with an agent partner. And so that is a contract where we outline our expectations, the expectations that the agent has of the institution to process applications fairly, in good time, to, you know, give a fair result. And then us as institutions, that we expect that our agents are providing accurate information, identifying students with bona fide intentions, counseling them in good faith, not charging them exorbitant fees, etc. So for many years, this was always the case. And so I know Canam has operated under this model since the very beginning of these direct relationships. This big market shift with the agent aggregators. So what agent aggregators are they work with what we call sub-agents who don't have a direct relationship with the institution. So the relationship of the sub-agent is with the company, not with the institution. And so that to me is a serious, can be a serious problem because there's a missing link there. One of the great things about this is that if a student has a problem with their application, they can speak with Canam, and Canam speaks with me directly as director of recruitment. One of the staff WhatsApps me and we get it sorted out. Alternatively, if we have a student who has a problem, it goes back. I know the students coming from Canam are good quality because I know that Canam is working with them, has direct relationship with their families. What's happened now is this, I'm sure if you look outside your window and drive 5 minutes in India, you will see 5,000 advertisements for agents, all say, go to Canada, no IELTS, free, 1 year, like all kinds of things. And, you know, for institutions, that's really scary. Of course, I'm hoping to return to India very soon now that we can come with e-visas and COVID. But the last time I was there, which was late November 2019, we're driving around Punjab. There's signs with the University of Winnipeg logo. I have no idea who some of these people are. And so unfortunately, this is a big problem in India, and India is leading the way in this sort of, I guess, a bit uncharted and like Wild West of these agents. And so really for me, that's a problem. What a great point that Ravin said was that institutions need to screen agents more carefully, which I absolutely agree with. And any good institution has rigorous screening to make sure that they are trusting an agent to use their name, use their logo, represent them. But the sad part is that for institutions, we have no idea that these sub-agents are even saying that they have a relationship with us or that they can send us students. So then myself, as director of international students, on the first day, I get some students coming. I thought that they were students applying on their own because they didn't list who their agent was. They just put down, their own name. They get there. Oh, my agent told me this. Oh, my agent told me that. So I look up their name. And if it was Canam, I would say, I don't think that Canam told you that, but you know what? I'm going to email Ganga and we'll clear this up, But whenever I hear that, it is never a Canam student who's saying that. It's never an official agent. I look and I say, I have no record on your account that you worked with one of our agents. I have no idea who told you that you could switch to 1 year and there's no IELTS and it's free, but there's nothing. So it's really frustrating for me as an institution because I feel very powerless to help students and families from getting scammed, from getting misinformation, because we don't even have control of who the people are who are saying this. And so I'm sure we'll get into how students can protect themselves and families, but of course, one is by confirming that your agent directly is representing that institution. And I know Karuna is here representing U Waterloo, and I'm sure if I talk to any of my colleagues across Canada who work in admissions and recruitment for an institution, we will never not answer an email when someone says, hi, I just want to confirm if you're working with Canam. Because if I am, that is a 1-second email. Yep, yes, we are. We at the University of Winnipeg, we even post a list of all of our agents on our website, what territory they're allowed to recruit from. And so this is a way that students can really protect themselves and families, even just by verifying if this relationship even exists. I'll stop for now because I could go on. I could fill this whole hour with my thoughts on sub-agents, but I'm sure we'll get to more of that. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, my next question is to Bruce. Bruce, you have overseen international student recruitment for decades at a public college and now work with a language school. Now, having spoken with and interacted with thousands of students, in your opinion, what kind of assistance should one be looking for from an education consultant to guide with career planning? And how should students ensure that their consultant is reliable? Now, do colleges give out special privileges to their top agents that would benefit their students, like visiting their offices, participate in events to meet students, conduct training sessions for their counselors, give speedy responses, offer extra seats when they fall vacant? That's very important in these times, and so on.
Great, thank you. Just to let you know, I was the former manager of the international department at Fanshawe College for 20 years prior to the position that I have right now. And in that position, one of my main responsibilities was to ensure that agents were the best they could possibly be by visiting those agents, by having the agents visit our campus. Most of the people would be familiar with familiarization tour or FAM tours, where agents would come either individually or collectively in a group to visit the campus. And we did that 5, 6, 7 times a year. We would have large groups of agents come, and almost on a weekly basis, they would be individual agents visiting our campus to ensure that the agent understood what our campus looked like, meet with students. We would always offer an opportunity for the agent to meet with their students privately without a representative from the college there, so they could listen and understand the best possible way for that, how the student was attending the college. Did they have any concerns, any problems, or any ideas that they could share with us? So I think it's extremely important for an agent to be in contact with a school as many times as possible. And in reverse to that is for the school to visit the agent's office. And that was another responsibility that I had, or the team of recruiters that were reporting to me. So visiting the agent's office or offices, because in many countries they have multiple offices, such as Canam, And Canam would demonstrate it to me over the years that we worked with them, that they always made sure that their offices were aware of what Fanshawe was doing, what programs were open, what programs were closed, what opportunities there were for employment. Because in Canada, one of the biggest opportunities for a student to come to Canada is that once you have your study permit and your visa to Canada, you also have a work permit. And one of the things that colleges offer and all schools offer is the opportunity to work, and through a network of representatives that we have working with us, we would help the students to gain employment to complement their education. So I think for me, the number one thing that I always look for with an agent is how well they had the resources to follow up with students, to follow up with the college, as other representatives have said already in this time, is that to answer emails or phone calls or text messages, to make sure that the answers are given back to the agents as quickly as possible. And just to add to the sub-agents and the aggregators, the new kid on the block, it's not something that I would have been very happy with. It was just starting as I retired from Fanshawe, and it wasn't something that I was very happy in agreeing to do. And it's something that was important that we had the direct relationship. And sub-agents caused us more problems than anything, and we weren't able to, in some cases, as I think Ashley mentioned, students would come with all sorts of ideas that were given to them by the agents, and it was extremely important for us to be able to have an agent that worked directly with the student and for sure with the parents, because it's the parents really that are making that decision for their students. So I think having that firsthand contact with an agent is extremely important for me and continues to be that way.
Thank you, Bruce. My next question is to Karuna. Karuna, as a founder at Illume, you've worked for decades very, very closely with more than dozens of universities and colleges, promoting their programs at the offices and events run by authorized agents of these educational institutions. You have been working very closely with University of Waterloo and represent University of Waterloo across the world with various agents. Now, why do universities and colleges rely heavily on agents to guide their prospective students through admissions and visa processes? And how do students benefit by being guided by university-appointed agents? I know Ashley's touched on some of the points before, but I'd like you to give us a complete rundown on this, please.
Thank you. I've become the connector of all of this today. So I've been listening to everybody speak, and there's a common theme on having an interaction with the agent. There's an elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is, do I need an agent? Am I capable of doing this work on my own? Absolutely. I'm not going to take that away from you. We are not absolving, not single panelist is absolving any student from the research that they need to do. They must be a participant, not an observer. And that is the biggest mistake you make in finding agents around the corner. BNE Electric has become an agent in Patiala, which has zero understanding of what education can. They've never visited Canada. So why would a university like Waterloo require an agent? It's a well-known university. People know the programs. People know their cooperative education program. I cannot be present everywhere. And even if I was present, and Ashley mentioned that we cannot have an interface with you because we are only 5 people or 6 people in the department. Yes, you can meet me on the phone, etc. But the task is daunting. It is a daunting task to find a program, to find ways of getting your paperwork done for study permits, etc. So we are the facilitators at the university to find you people who on ground are there 24/7. I cannot be present 24/7. I have many responsibilities. So if I'm building a house, there is somebody who does the construction, somebody who does the painting, somebody who does that. Now we have found a program for you, and the next step is for you to apply for a study permit and come to the university. My work is not done till you walk the stage. So let's just put it out that I'm accountable to my institution in bringing the students to the institution and for you to graduate, which is the family's desire. So I'm obligated to two sides. And how do I fulfill this requirement, which are massive requirements by the university and university or universities and institutions, and by the parent body that want the child to be successful, have a great job, have their understanding of what papers are required, not doing wrong things. So I made some notes, and I was saying that how did I go about convincing University of Waterloo to have agents? And Ganga was my very first agent. I came to her and said, I have to have somebody reliable. And that started this task of going through hundreds and hundreds of agents who know me, know my work in the marketplace, and wanting to work for whether it was University of Waterloo or Trent or UNB, it didn't matter. They wanted to work and have direct relationship. Now remember that if I had 1,000 agents, and I'm saying this to the students, I could not manage it as a manager. And Ashley and Bruce will tell you that managing agent requires a lot of work. So we don't want to manage agent. We want to have agents who are self-sufficient, who know their business, who actually are guiding us. And Ganga and I've always had this conversation at the table that, Mrs. Osman, this is the direction you want to take the student, but you know these restrictions, because we also are being taught by agents the market trends, the changing policies, because we are not always aware of things that are happening. So why is an agent needed by an institution? Is to reduce the amount of work in our offices of managing each student file. So if you have an agent whom you don't know, sending you an application, and they come to my desk or to my email and say, I was told that such and such thing happened, I will be guaranteed a scholarship, or I will be guaranteed a placement in computer science. I have 96%, but you have refused me. But I was told by this agent that those marks were definitely in, not teaching them about competition. So you're not just a numerical data. So aggregators don't work for us. They only know you by a number. I want to know you as a person. I want to, as an institution. So what we are looking for is an interaction with a person who has guided you, who has counseled you, and then we can say, hey, listen, this information was incorrect. We need this document, and we can resolve the problem. Next thing is, be assertive. When you go to talk to an agent, ask them, do you have an agreement with University of Waterloo or University of Winnipeg or Fanshawe College or whatever institution that you are desiring? First of all, look at the plethora of choices you have. From the Atlantic provinces all the way to British Columbia, you have hundreds of institutions that your program is available readily at the prices that you may be able to afford with the marks that you have. Now, some agent on near Narendra Cinema Hall, those lovely agents, and I'm agreeing with Ashley, the science that they put out, that they're working with all these schools and all these institutions. I actually got a call from Canadian High Commission one time saying, are you doing something special, Karuna? And I said, what do you mean? He says, there's a picture of you at every 30 kilometers on the way to Jalandhar. And I said, I have no idea who this individual is. They were welcoming me to the region, not even to their offices. So remember, don't be fooled by extensive advertisement. The radio shows that you have that come and say incredible things. I listen to them. They have sometimes become sort of a comedy show for people who do this work. Like, how can this be said, and how can people listen to the information that is given? So how am I going to choose an agent? I'm just going to focus on that for about a couple of seconds. Your job is to do research, first off. How many students have they sent? Are they trained? Do they have licensing? Is there a Canadian in the mix? Because you're going to Canada, you need to have somebody who has Canadian qualifications. So the total responsibility is not on the bad agent, it is also on you. So if you fail and you take the wrong agent, you have also put yourself in there. And I'm often in presentation where somebody stands up and says, I have this much visa success rate. Just by putting pictures of those, when I enter the agent's offices, and I always laugh that they don't follow any FOIP rules or Freedom of Information Protection Act, and they put people's passports with their names and their visas there. That's actually, for me, becomes very, very complex, because now you're displaying all the personal information of the child on the board. And I'd rather not work with you because you've not understood the first principle is that this is a personal choice. This is my choice. I may give you the right to do that if I'm talking on the video or something. So remember that don't be fooled by the 20-odd pictures that you will see on the wall. It is your job to go to the institutional website and check if the name of the agency is listed. If it is not listed, then that means that the agency is not approved. I'm not saying they're bad agent. No, they're not. But they are not your direct agent. That there's lots been said about direct agencies. There are some indirect relationships which a university may support. So one statement by Ashley, which I laughed, she says, you write to me, it's a yes or no answer. Do you work with this agency? Yes, I do. Will you support my applications? Yes, I will. That doesn't take very much time. But if you send me a wrong application, that increases my work many folds. Next point is that question and statement has been made about training. We pride ourselves as institutions in Canada to take time and do yearly training, annual training on changes. What are we adding? Whenever Ganga's, I get very frustrated. I get these emails from our department saying, can you please update your list of program offerings? And I think, well, oh my God. And guess what? Every year we have 1 or 2 or 3 new gems that are coming up. But the frustration from my desk is one more thing to do, one more work to do. So remember that institutions are also obligated to good agents. Ganga can write to my boss anytime, and she can tell you that 24 hours is the return time. Because why? She's dealing with hundreds of my students. She needs to have this information so she can move forward. So this symbiotic relationship is what you're looking for. You're looking for a healthy relationship between institution and an agency, and agencies may help in other things, like this is a place you can get your loan. I have no idea. I don't follow those kind of rules. So multitudes of things are going to come up. One of them, the simplest one is how to apply. How to select an institution takes time. How to apply doesn't take any time. You can do that on your own. You can do that with a counselor. Then the letters of admission, and I've written a big, big word here, documentation. I would say numerically, probably 20 to 22% of the students do not submit their documents properly on time to get their admission decision. A approved agent who is working very well has those deadlines. I can give you horrific stories of students who've lost their admissions at University of Waterloo for not writing a simple test for SAFA test that they write for accounting, because somebody went to get married and they didn't check their emails, and that deadline was passed. So a smaller agency also has smaller engagement with you. You want somebody who has more engagement with you, who is looking after you. Another big thing is that my agent did not give me my number, my ID, because they have taken ownership of your application. What a horrific thing, what a horrible thing. And I'm seeing the Bruce's face and things that happens, where the students applied, they have their ID, and then they're managing their account, which is completely illegal. You should know what is happening with your account. You should be aware of your file. Charging students. I know of agents who charge I've laughed as to why parents pay this. Why would any parent pay lakhs of rupees to an agent to do an application to U of T or to UNB or to Fanshawe College? Why? You don't have to pay. Yes, you may have some administrative fee. The people have to cover their cost, but when you pay lakhs of rupees, that is your first indicator that there is something terribly, terribly wrong with this relationship. It's just, if they're saying that we are charging you this because this university's registration fee is that, and many students get fooled by that. So please remember that the job finally falls on you to do research and to ask questions. If you don't ask us anything, ask the institution anything, and I guarantee you that you will get a response which is going to provide clarity. And it could be very simple that you were with someone in an approved agency and they asked you to do something and you're not comfortable with it, and you have the right to ask questions. Research is an important point. The total responsibility falls on the student who chooses an agent who is not approved. That just, now you've just messed yourself up. If you have chosen an agent that we have approved, it's a shared responsibility now, because Ganga is not Ganga of Canam. For Waterloo, Ganga is an extension of Waterloo. She's an arm of Waterloo. Her staff is an arm of Waterloo. They're my representatives. They have been trained to be in place of me when I'm not there. I cannot be there. As a matter of fact, half the things that Canam does, I'm not aware of it. How to get a loan, how to get your GSCs, all of those kind of things are left to the agents. Agents are equal partners of the university. There will be a group of students who do this there on their own. But if you don't have knowledge about study permits, if you don't have knowledge about application, documentation, use of an agent is an important thing. It's an important step to making your journey to Canada. So I will end by saying that it is such a pleasure to be here with such a large number of students. Please remember, we support you through our agents. That's my message. And my agent that has started my journey, Ms. Ganga, 20-some years ago. Oh, by the way, there's a slight thing. Difference is 37 years into the education, not 57. That would make me so old, but that's okay. I'm old already. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karuna. That was nice. Nicely explained. Now, Ashley, what's the difference in visa approval rates for students that apply directly versus those that apply through established agents in India? And how often do you communicate and share important information with your authorized agents? What kind of information would you share? What sort of information is shared, which a direct student might miss out on?
Great question. So I would say that there is definitely a significant difference in the visa approval rates for students who are coming through an agent versus those who directly apply. And when I'm talking here, I'm talking about our authorized official agents. You know, the other ones actually have abysmal visa approval rates, I think. But so I'm referring to the official agents like Canam. And it is not because the students are smarter or have better finances necessarily, or that they are better equipped to study in Canada. It's really because it's all about paperwork, staying organized, making sure that when students apply for their visa, all of their paperwork is in order. They're answering all of the questions that a visa officer will have. And so most students or most families, you're going to apply for a visa, a study visa to Canada, hopefully one time, and then you're going to come to Canada and you're only going to do that once. Whereas the agencies like Canam, Ganga, I can't even think of how many visas you're applying for Canada every year. They're doing hundreds of these every day, and they're seeing, and they are collecting data, you know, like maybe not officially, but they see what works, what doesn't work, what kind of profile gets approved, what kind doesn't. And I think a good agent is also realistic to students. If if they don't have a chance of getting a visa, it's a waste of time for the agent as well as us, because we were saying, as Karuna said, how students should not be charged thousands of lakhs for, and rupees for their services, but this is a business arrangement in that institutions do pay commission to agents for their services. And the reason why is because they are sending us students that are qualified, that can get visas. So your authorized agent can tell you, is your profile suitable? Do you have a chance of getting a visa? If you have an IELTS 4.5, you're not getting a visa. If you're getting, and so they give you that really upfront, sometimes hard to hear, or they may say, you know what, you need to get your finances in order before you come. Or sometimes it's something as simple as you have a study gap here, and that's okay, but you need to explain why, and you need to prepare this letter, a letter that shows why. And so that advice is really invaluable, and it's sort of insider advice, right? Like learned through doing so many times that you learn how do you keep this smoothly. In terms of communicating and sharing important information with our agents, this was, Karuna mentioned filling out the surveys every term. What programs are open? How much does it cost? What is the deadline? What is the refund policy? Has anything changed? And Canam, you send us that at least 3 times a year, every term, because they want to make sure that they are absolutely on top of every change in the policy. And so every time we have a change, we are directly and immediately feeding that information to our students. It also was to our agents to filter that out. Other information that's shared with agents that a direct student might miss out on, any changes to programs, program availability, program capacity, is stuff that direct students might not understand. The agents also know about enrollment capacities and limits, and so they can help students also identify if they're a suitable candidate for that program or not. Karuna mentioned Waterloo Engineering, very famous. I'm sure everyone in India would love to go to Waterloo Engineering program. Very competitive to get into. And so a direct agent, anyone can log in, pay the application fee and apply to this program. But using an agent, they can tell you, maybe your percentage is too low, that, you don't want to spend $100 on this application fee, but these are some really great options for you at other schools that might fit your profile just a little bit better. And so this is saving the student time, money. And so that type of information, I think, is also what the institutions are feeding back and forth in terms of what is our ideal candidate? What are we really looking for? What is a realistic chance of this student succeeding? That we just, because of volume, we can't have that conversation with every individual student. So I do think that students should take that information very valuable. The final is, do you watch out for any misleading advertisements placed by agents? We've talked about this, and to be honest, no, because it's so out of control, and we don't. It used to be 2017, 2016 used to do a Google image search for our logo, send messages, just please take that down. You don't work with us, please take that down. Well, the reality is that, same as Karuna, I've opened up a newspaper before when I've been in Delhi and seen the logo of the University of Winnipeg in there, printed on an advert. So really the best is for families to verify directly with the institutions, I think.
Thank you, Ashley. My next question is to Bruce. Bruce, how did you choose your agents on ground? And did you end up canceling any agreements with agents if they were found doing something wrong? Also, if a student notices a red flag with his consultant before paying his tuition fees, should he consider changing his agent?
Well, thank you. The first part was one of the things that Fanshawe College has done, and every other school is doing as well, is having representatives that work directly for the college in the country of origin. So we have representatives working in India, we have representatives working in Korea, in China, in Africa. And those were the main resources that we used to be able to determine if an agent was the type of agent that we wanted to work with. They were there, they were able to meet with the agent, they were able to meet with the Canadian Embassy or the Canadian Consulate to ensure that there was no problems with an individual agent. Meeting with the, I always found it very helpful to meet with the Canadian Embassy, the Immigration Department, or the Immigration Department, to ensure that they told us of problems that they were having with applications. They wouldn't necessarily name a particular agent, but they would tell us things that were happening. And from that, we could determine whether or not there was things that we should be talking to agents about. So I think having representatives in the country is extremely important. And also meeting directly with those agents, going to their office, as everybody has said, you know, this false advertising, making sure that the agent isn't putting up posters and information either on their website or on their wall in their office that's incorrect or misleading. And I saw that firsthand. And so I think the main thing is to ensure that you get as much firsthand information from that agent. And sometimes it's you maybe don't engage the agent the first time. You go back and make sure that in the second visit that they're still able to provide the office, the information, the staff that are capable of representing a college or a university in the best possible way. It's something that I took very seriously with regard to that. So, and what was the other question? Sorry.
If a student notices a red flag, with the consultant before he pays his tuition fee, should he consider changing his agent? And
Absolutely. I mean, I had many emails, even phone calls from parents, from students wanting to know if that agent represented our particular college. So that was something that we would encourage, as is happening with all schools now. Actually, it was interesting. At first, we didn't want to list the names of the agents because we were afraid other colleges or schools would know which agents we were working with. But now it's become commonplace. So listing the name of the agent that you work with by country, and even by city sometimes, because there's offices in different cities, was something that I made sure was always up to date. And so I think as the common theme, I think from what I'm hearing from everybody today is that it's extremely important to have that firsthand contact with an agent, and for the student and the parent to ask the agent, when was the last time you visited the campus of that school? And I think it's important that's a question that you ask and that they're able to answer. And vice versa, when was the last time the agent or the school visited this office or visited this country? I think those are things that are extremely important. It's a huge decision. It's a lot of money. And if they make the wrong decision in coming to Canada and go to the wrong school, I think that's something that they will regret. And I think making sure that the agent is the best possible representative of the school is extremely important.
Thank you. Questions from the audience. Is it okay to employ a consultant who charges money for their services? Gitanjali, would you like to answer that?
Thanks, Ganga. That, in fact, is a really good question, and I think Karna touched on a little. But I've worked with consultants who've charged money for services as well as those who've offered them for free. And my experience both of the consultants were good and, they were helping students. I think the broader question is what we need to check is whether the consultant is having a good reputation and feedback. And there might be certain services or there might be certain destinations. So I know this is very Canada focused, but I'm actually talking in a more general, broader sense, where there are multiple destinations, such as the US, where, the consultant would charge some sort of money for, and that's fine as long as they are giving quality services in return. So it actually depends upon what you're getting in turn for those services. And I totally agree that, if they are misleading the students in terms of, they're asking for fees on behalf of the institution where there is no fees there, that is definitely wrong. But if there is a service that they are providing to the students which justifies that fees, then it can be, taken into point. And I would also recommend that you check with the consultants who charge for their fees and who don't charge for this fees, and ask them what's your rationale behind doing so. I mean, I go to a couple of consultants to make my choice, and I see one of them charges for some service and the other one doesn't. I would immediately ask that person, why are you charging for this? We have other people who are not, they are providing this for free as a service. Why are you charging for it? And they have a justification for that. Then that's something you can look into. But not doing it without asking and agreeing to whatever the agent is saying, that is something I think you should be very, very wary of. So you should always ask the agent what they are doing, why they're doing, and for what reason. And I think the most important aspect remains, regardless of whether they're charging or not, is whether they are reputed and that they are ethical consultants, and they will ensure that your child is provided with the right information so that they make the right choices. And, that makes the whole world of a difference in you being a successful student studying abroad. I think so. Yeah.
Ravin, would you like to add something to that, your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I have worked at agencies, and I've started my own as well. I've understood India as a market really well. And I think for any agency at the end of the day, which is a business, right, the goal is to remain profitable. For an agency that's working with institutes directly, I think they do. I see no reason why they should be charging students. I don't think that it's like it depends on the agency or anything like that. It's a very blanket answer, which is no. And the only reason you should be paying an agency money is if they're giving you a massage while they're counseling you, or maybe your pizza, or if they're like ordering you a pizza or something while you're waiting for it. And if they're not giving you those services, I do not think you should be paying them.
Okay. Here's another question from the audience, which is related somewhat to this. So how do I believe in the agent's advice for the programs they suggest? Because they have a commission with the respective college or university. So they're being paid for it. So now, I mean, I'm leaving this open to whoever wishes to answer this question.
I'm just going to first of all add to the previous one, and I would love to have a massage in an agent's office, by the way, Ravin. That's a great idea. I'm going to suggest that. The point I'm making is that agencies, the question is, can they charge? There are some administrative costs that the agencies can charge. If somebody's charging you 20,000 rupees versus 3 lakhs of rupees, there's a problem. There's also a problem if he says, oh, don't worry, I will take care of the documents. Red flag. Big red flag. He cannot take care of the documents. Documents are documents. So any agent who promises you that, that's very, very important thing to remember. And what was your last question that we were all, when I was laughing, you had a question on the floor.
Yeah, the question was, how do I believe in agents' advice for the program that they're suggesting? Because they get commissions from that particular university or college.
Agreed fully 100% on that question. The agents direct students to the institutions that they have direct relationship with. So that's a bad agent. That's your red flag right there. You went in said to the agent, I want to go to University of Winnipeg. And they're talking to you and say, you know what, you're probably better going to ICM. It's in the same location. You'll still be with your family. And then you find out they had no relationship with Winnipeg, and that's why they're promoting the other institution. So I've made it very real in terms, because it happens all the time. Oh, you'll never get into Waterloo anyway, you should try for this, then finding out that they don't have a relationship with Waterloo. So if they are doing that, if they're redirecting you somewhere else, ask for that. But if they're looking at your grades and saying to you, you won't qualify, write to Mrs. Osman and ask her whether you should. I am suggesting that's a different conversation. So directing it without student's permission or without asking the institution that the student originally wanted to apply is a red flag for me.
Ravin, you want to say something?
I already am going to bring my hand down.
Also, like I think I'm just going to add, like Mrs. Osman said earlier as well. A lot of it comes down to your own research, right? I think it's very important to do a little bit of groundwork and legwork before you go into an agency's office. And I think most students who are smart enough will figure out that, okay, you know, like clearly what the agent is saying is there's a clear contradiction between what I know of myself and what the agent is pitching to me. Obviously, typically, if the agent is very well reputed, you could say that, you know, they would have advanced knowledge of the programs and institutes. But please make sure that you're doing a little bit of groundwork and a little bit of legwork before you walk into an office.
Yeah, and I suppose it's equally important to know that the agency that you're connecting with has agreements with all of these institutions. And if they have agreements with Waterloo and Winnipeg and Carleton and Ottawa and so on and so forth, and then they say that no, maybe it's not for maybe you may not
Absolutely.
just get into Waterloo, and I think you should apply to these universities as well as backup. Then it makes sense, because like Karuna said,
Absolutely.
you know, that's a conversation which sounds logical, but just saying no, I don't think you should apply there, I think you should apply here, that is clearly indicative. And I think students and parents are intelligent enough to figure out that where there's something logical which is being said, and where there is something which is all to do with money. So
And I think
you
that makes a lot of sense. Like what you just said is that any agency who has most of the partnerships, right, you can expect them to be unbiased in their opinion. Versus somebody who has a very limited set of 10, 15, of course, they're going to try and place you in the ones that they have partnerships in.
Ashley, would you want to say something?
Yeah, I think that is Robert just kind of said what I was going to say. You know, if you're looking, it's important. You have to protect yourself. You are your own biggest advocate. You are protecting, and so you know, ask you, what are all the schools that you have relationships with? That's one way. And then also knowing that you have your information. If an agent is pressuring you, you have to do this right now. You have to put down all this money right down. You have to, well, if they just introduced you to a brand new school that you never heard of, which perhaps could be good advice, you know, sometimes that is a good thing when they're saying, you know what, you like music, this is the best music program in Canada, you should go here. Well, you as a consumer, as a student, if you want to be a university student, you have to be good at research. That's going to be very important for your skills and your success. So you go home and you take a look, and you know, if it's something is feeling off, then you can always walk away and check that. So sometimes this false sense of urgency, like timelines are very important and deadlines are very important in this area, but you know, the false sense of urgency, or that it has to be done today, or it's this chance right now or never. Those are all red flags that, you know, I'm sure if someone was pressuring you at a store to, you have to buy this jacket today, you'd be like, why am I doing this? But people, you see them making this mistake when this is thousands of dollars, your whole life, where you're going to end up. You could step away for a minute to do your own research and think about it as well.
For sure.
Actually,
Yeah.
I do have to say that there are institutions that create that urgency. I will put a little burden on the institutions as well. They put the deadlines that the application has to be in by such and such day, or else you will be moved to the next thing. So institutions also should have open door policy of applications coming in and then say we are filled. Now we are taking and it's an order of the application coming in. They're giving quotas to the agencies. They're doing all kinds of things, which I see from an institutional perspective, that's a stress on an agency. Even a very good agency falls into the backwaters because of that, because now you have a fictitious deadline and then they don't fill the seats and then they send out an email, and I read that sometimes. We have 15 seats available because the visas didn't come through. Why not have a different process? So our processes have to be better from the institution, and agencies should post. I went to one agency's office and they had posted when the university's applications were closed for a certain program. Fantastic way of doing it. So it's a sort of a joint collaborative approach to give students as much time to make a proper informed decision. I think, and we all hold responsibility in that, the student and the institution, to assist the agent on the ground.
That's a great point. Absolutely.
I know at Fanshawe, we, I think it's important if a student is being pressured to complete an application, to put money on the table, I think it's important to ask the agent to show them the institution's webpage where that says that. Because
Yes.
if that is a deadline, then it's somewhere, it's going to be on the school's webpage. And I think that's something that the agent should be able to do, and the student and the parent should ask that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to just add one more point to the discussion. And, from the very start, my view has been that, parents need to research, students need to research, whether it's a university program or an agent. So I'm a big believer that, you need to do your own research. And just in case, a point like, if you're ordering food from Zomato, don't you do that research? If you want to, I mean, you look at the stars, right? You look at the rating before you order from a restaurant. So this is 1,000 times bigger than one meal. And why wouldn't you do your own research then? So that's one of the things. And, even for the point where we go to, if you suppose tomorrow I want to buy a car, would I not go to an authorized dealer of that car to buy the car? Or somebody, next door to me says, oh, I have a great deal on this car that you're looking to buy. Would I go to that person to buy the car? Or would I go to the authorized dealer to buy that car? So it's as simple as that. If you take those decisions with so much thought and research behind it, why should we not take these kind of decisions which are going to affect a child's future for a very long time to come? So yeah, that's my 2 cents over there.
Thanks. Thank you. In fact, talking of pressure and all of that brings me to the next question here. It's interesting. One student says some agents tell students to give them their original documents and passport to start their admissions process. And in case students are unhappy with their services, they refuse to give back the documents to allow change of agent until they pay the fees. Now, this is blackmail. What should the student do under these circumstances?
Call Canadian High Commission's helpline. Seriously. Or call the institution. It takes 30 seconds to get documents.
I would call the institution and report that agent, because they should not be holding any documents for any reason. Those documents should be until that applicant, if they're going through a process with the agent to apply for the visa, then obviously that's a different story. But they need to make sure that those documents are returned as soon as possible.
Also, I want to add that, these two are good solutions, be it in terms of getting in touch with the institute or the Canadian High Commission. But again, they would only be able to take action if the agent was authorized in the first place, right? If it's an unauthorized agent who is working with somebody else, then there's not much that an institute would be able to do. So I feel that the ideal thing would be to not walk into an office like this in the first place. Which brings me back to, guys, please be very careful. Please make sure that you're not just researching about your programs and your institutes, but you're also doing some research into the kind of agents that you're working with, making sure that the person is reputed, making sure that the person is trustworthy, has their own contracts. so that you never get into a problem like this in the first place. And in case that you do, the institute's able to take some action on it.
But one of the biggest thing I want to mention, and this as a parent, as an administrator, why would you give your original passport to anyone in the first place, or your original documentation? Make a copy, have it handy, keep the originals till your file is ready to be submitted. People who give these things to unsuspecting people and they put them in their drawers and then the things are lost. My agent lost my passport. Why give it? Why release such a document in the first place? So I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to go back to Gitanjali's statement. You know, you're so careful with many things. This is your life we are talking about. Please do not be using these documents as easy commodity in your pocket. This is something you need to protect. And you give your passport. You know, there was a time where passports could be duplicated and you could be in very big trouble. So keep your things. I wouldn't be giving my passport to anyone. I'm reluctant to give it to even a visa officer. Okay, can I please have my passport back? I'm just amazed that people give these things away. But anyway, little humor.
Okay, so now I think this question probably I should direct to Ashley. It says, is an RCIC certification from the CICC necessary for an agent to advise on student visas from India for Canada?
It's a good question. So the answer is not technically, but they should, right? So immigration advising is regulated profession here in Canada. And so when you are within Canada, you have to be a lawyer or an RCIC or a RISIA to be able to assist someone with their study permit. Good agents, usually who are well-versed in sending to Canada, have RISIAs or RCICs on their staff who are helping with the study permits. The problem is that the random agency in Ludhiana who has a consultant, well, that person is not in Canada. So they shouldn't be advising at all. So it's very unregulated, but they are supposed to have, if you're advising on Canada, you're supposed to have RCIC, RISIA, or be an immigration lawyer for anything related to visas. Lots of agents, and I'm not using the authorized good agent label here. They do advise on immigration, and they aren't, but that's because they're based in India and they don't have a relationship with Canada, so they're falling outside of the jurisdiction. But professional good agency, they will have someone who has RCIC on staff to be able to help you with that process. That's one indicator, and it provides you with a bit of protection because RCICs and RISIAs, we are regulated. We have a portal where you can complain about us if you receive bad advice. So it's just another one of those assurances that you're protecting yourself.
I think that's all we had time for now. So in conclusion, understanding the ups and downs of global events and the impact it has had on individual university is a never-ending challenge. So which is why more and more universities are looking for help. One source of help to the universities looking for international students comes from education agents. Now, through all this influx, all these ups and downs, good agents are a consistent force and effective partners for universities worldwide, which is what we've been hearing from all of them here. Now, agents can be their eyes and ears in the local market. Good agents are hard to find, take time to develop, stand with the university in good times and in bad. And good agents definitely stand the test of time. So all these are indicators to a student who are good agents. Agents are intermediaries who work to serve students as their primary goal. That has to be their primary goal. Now, they derive their revenue from universities for their work, certainly. But students gain by having a local source of expertise who can provide support and direction during the search for an overseas university. The universities benefit by having a local presence and local representative, and the agent receives fees from the university in support for those efforts. And the Government of Canada's efforts have been amazingly supportive to prospective international students through these challenging times, and to many former international students who remain in Canada, who continue to seek employment to build the future. As Canada starts to chart its course to post-pandemic recovery, attracting skilled immigrants continues to be a central part of their plan. So it's up to you as a student to get the right kind of guidance from a reputed consultant so that your profile, your objective to study in Canada, your career plan, the study program you choose, and the region in Canada your college is located in, all will align themselves and work towards giving you the ultimate edge. Don't take chances with your career goals. Our grateful thanks to all the panelists who have taken a lot of time out of their busy schedule, giving you such detailed answers, and have contributed towards removing myths and spreading knowledge about Canadian education process to you all. And a big round of applause to the audience for such wonderful questions. Our final topic for this super successful conclave will start at 5:30 p.m. today, and the topic is postgraduate study, master's degrees, or skill-oriented certificates. What suits your objective? Senior Canadian University and college officials will again be on the panel, so don't miss it. Do register on www.canamgroup.com in case you haven't already done so to receive the Zoom link for that session. And our virtual education fair is on tomorrow. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.